Guys, I'm Christy from Blingee Thingee on Etsy, and today I'm just going to show you how I blinged out this pair of women's Nike slides using one of the rhinestone and pearl mixes that I sell in my Etsy shop. And as you can tell, they turned out so cute. This was the shoe that I started with, and then this was the rhinestone and pearl mix that I used to achieve that look. And as you can tell, the colors, they match up perfectly. So I started out with a pack like this, working on a women's size 6 Nike slide, and after finishing one shoe, this was how much I had left of that mix. So if you're doing a women's size 6 Nike slide or smaller, I would recommend starting out with 2 of the rhinestone and pearl mixes, and then to do the Nike swoosh, because I wanted the contrast, I used 3 different sizes in the Jelly AB rhinestones, a 2mm, 3mm, and a 4mm, and they come in packs like these. And so that's what I used for that. I would recommend that if you're doing something bigger than a women's size 6, because as you can tell, this is a women's size 9 Nike slide, and so there's a big difference in the size. So the area that will need to be covered is a lot bigger. So I would recommend, if you're going with say like a size 7 or a size 8, you probably would want to get maybe 3 of the rhinestone and pearl mixes just to make sure that you have enough. And then of course also get whatever you want to use for your swoosh, or if your slides have the actual word Nike or whatever brand that you're using. So I'm going to leave links for everything that I used in this tutorial. I also used the E6000 glue. This works perfect. And I used the super affordable, very inexpensive yellow wax rhinestone picker tool to pick up my rhinestones for placement onto the shoe. So I'm also going to leave a link for this particular mix and all the other mixes that I sell. I have about over 40 or 50 different mixes, so I'll also include a link for those. And then I used jelly rhinestones, the Jelly ABs, and I'll also leave a link for all the different colors in these that I sell as well. So now I'm going to show you how I accomplished this look. So I'm going to put a little bit of the E6000 glue on a toothpick and just kind of twist that around, because I'm going to start with the swoosh first. Now once I get to the larger part of the surface on the shoe, I'll apply the glue differently, but for now I just want to use the toothpick because I feel like it gives me a little bit more control where the glue actually goes. So, and then this is my tool that I'm going to be using to help me pick up the rhinestones for placement. I'm going to start with a 2mm right there at the top. And this is what's nice about buying, having a few different sizes of rhinestones. So as I said earlier, I'm going to use a 2, 3, and 4 on the swoosh. And then the rhinestone pearl and mixes come in a larger assortment of sizes. The rhinestone and pearl mixes have 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10 in the pearls. Those are in millimeters. And then for the size of the rhinestones, they're 3mm, 4mm, 5mm, and 6mm. So what I use, as you can see, is I use a paper plate, and that's what I just always pour all my rhinestones and pearls on whenever I'm working on projects. And then also what I did was the larger size pearls. I actually, before I started, I went ahead and flipped them all over. So they would just be easier to get to when I start working on the surface of the shoe. So I try to get everything set up so that I can move pretty fast. So for a slide, it should take anywhere in between 1 hour and about 1.5 hours per shoe, depending on your skill level, how long you've been doing this. I sell the rhinestones and the pearls, but I honestly don't bling a lot of things out, so I'm not the fastest. But typical for a pair of slides, it's going to be anywhere between an hour and an hour and a half per shoe. So about 2 hours to 3 hours per project. So just to kind of give you an idea of how much time you're going to need. So when I'm working with the E6000 glue, I want to make sure that I'm twisting it so that I don't have a glue string. I've also, you can't see this, but I have a window beside of me and I have that open. Anytime that I'm working with E6000 glue, I want to make sure that I'm in a well ventilated area just because of the smell. So I never want to put too large amount of glue on an area where it dries before I get to it. That's extremely important. So only glue to where you think you can get your embellishments added before it starts to dry. And if it does dry before you get there, that's fine. You just need to make sure though that you reapply the glue. And then sometimes this little tool will pick up more than one rhinestone, so you just kind of have to. Now I'm working with a Jelly AB resin rhinestone. These are a little bit different than the regular rhinestones. As you can tell, these are opaque, but they have an iridescent coating on the top of them. And so I sell these particular kinds of stones, and then I also sell just the regular resin rhinestones that are more translucent and they have a silver backing. These are the jellies, so you can't see through them and they don't have the silver backing. But if you go into my Etsy shop, you'll see that I carry all different kinds of stones and colors and sizes and all that kind of stuff. So but I feel like the Jelly AB, they're just so bright and colorful and almost kind of candy colored and just really great for spring and summer items because of the vibrance of the colors. So they work out really good, especially for this. They went really good with this particular pair of shoes and the rhinestone and pearl mix that I chose to use too. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some more glue. And these 2mm are really nice right here, coming on the end of the swish because it's super thin. So the 2mm is working perfectly on that. So, okay. That's that. That has the swish part done. Looks great. So now, before we get into the main part of the shoe, I want to show you a trick that I do almost all the time. But what I do is I'm always working with toothpicks. So what I like to do before I actually start a project is I'll get a couple of toothpicks. I'll stick it in the end of a tube of E6000 glue and just really coat it with that glue, just like that. And then I'm going to stand it up on my paper plate and allow that to dry for about 5 minutes or so, depending on how much glue I get on there. Just kind of coat it just like that, stand it up, let it dry. And then once that's dried, you're going to have this really nice tool, handmade tool, that you can use to pick up the rhinestones because it dries, but it's still super kind of just kind of waxy and tacky, and so it picks up the stones really well. And that and this tool are my go-tos whenever I'm working on projects. They're just my favorite. So we'll let that dry for a little bit and then I'll show you how I use that. So now I'm just going to apply the glue this way. So you can kind of use the end of the tube, or you can do what I do and I just kind of take my toothpick and then I can spread it out like so. I'm going to add just a little bit more glue right there. And that's all I'm going to do. Okay. Now you're going to see I have one of those tools. This is a toothpick that had the glue on it, but it's been drying for a while. I had previously made this, so I'm going to use this. And I found that this is one of the best tools that there is for picking up the bigger pearls, because the wax pencil, when you're using that, because the pearl is heavier, here I'll just show you, it sometimes like it doesn't want to, it'll like fall. So I like using this particular tool because I just feel like it works better. So when I'm working on stuff, I just rotate between the toothpick and E6000 glue and the yellow wax pencil tool. And so when you're working with the mixes, you want to make sure that you're using a nice variety of everything. You don't want to be bunching a bunch of the pearls up together. You just want it to look really balanced. And then you also want to make sure that you don't use a bunch of all of your larger size pearls in the beginning of a project, and then when you get to the other side, you've used them all up. And so then your item, it winds up just looking very unbalanced because you used all of your bigger sized embellishments first. So just spread it out like I'm doing. You can see here I'm using just a variety of rhinestones, pearls, and then I'm also switching up the sizes. And so with this glue, because it's still wet, you're going to find that you can place your rhinestone, but if you need to slide it, you're also able to do that. So that's really nice. Oops. So I'm making these shoes for my daughter. Her birthday's in a couple of weeks, and she loves wearing her slides. So going ahead and getting these done now, so they're ready for her. And she's already seen the shoes, and she's seen the mix that I'm going to use, so she's super excited about it. She loves the colors. So when I'm applying this stuff, and everyone is different, some people really keep their rhinestones and their pearls spread out. That's not really how I do mine. As you can tell, I'm putting everything pretty close together. I don't really want any open spaces. So, but it's up to you. I just like to pretty much cover the entire area. Of course, if you're not covering the entire area and you are keeping some spaces, you're not going to use as many rhinestones and pearls. Okay, I'm going to switch back over and use this tool now. I just wanted to kind of show you that there's different things that you can use. You just have to find what works better for you. Everybody has a different preference. There's a lot of different tools on the market for picking up rhinestones and pearls and all that. You just have to find the one that works for you. Some are inexpensive, some are really expensive. I just feel like for myself, I just gravitate towards whatever works for me, and then you'll just kind of get in the habit of that's what you're using. And so this mix that I'm using, as you can tell, it has a really nice mixture of oranges, corals, hot pinks, perfect for spring. Okay. Oops. You can see right here where I had the pearl here, and now it's kind of slid with the glue. So now I'm just going to go in there and add some more rhinestones. Okay. To time to apply some more glue. So now these right here, once I lay this shoe down to start working, you'll kind of notice these are going to slide a little bit. So ever so often you might just kind of want to come and just lift them up just a little bit until that glue gets a little more tackier and it stays put. So I'm just using this toothpick to spread the glue around really evenly. And again, this is just a personal preference. For me, I feel it gives me a little bit more control over where the glue is going. And it's just kind of the way that I've always done it, so I'm used to doing it like that now. Okay. So I'm just going to be rotating in between using this tool and the toothpick. And in the beginning of the video, I had mentioned about how for this particular shoe, I was using the mixes, and then I was also using the different sizes of the jelly rhinestones. So once you've kind of done like that center part, your Swish or Nike or whatever you used to kind of bling out the logo part of your shoe, you'll also have those stones left over that you can also add for the regular surface of the shoe. So another option that you have too is like I sell these rhinestone and pearl mixes, but I also sell the pearls and the rhinestones in individual sizes. And so you could always just buy just the larger size pearls if you need some more, or because a lot of people, when they're doing items like this, they really like to use a lot of the larger pearls. Plus it helps to cover the area a lot quicker because they're bigger and you're covering a larger space. So a lot of people will buy the mixes, but then they'll also buy some more of the larger size pearls in individual sizes to add with their mix. And you can totally do that too, because you can see. So my phone cut off for a minute. I'm just kind of coming back now to this. I'm going to use a toothpick this time, so it gives me a little bit more control over where the glue is going. And again, this works perfectly. So for right now, I'm just going to do that small space. And then I'm using this. I'm going to use this to pick up the bigger pearls. And it works great. And then this also works for the smaller ones too. Okay, time for more glue. Just gonna flip some of these bigger pearls over so I can get to them quicker. Okay guys, so these are both of the slides completely finished. I apologize because for some reason I was trying to film doing the entire shoe and I kept running out of storage on my phone. So, but I hope that I was able to include enough of the videos combining both of the shoes together that you can kind of tell, you get a good idea how to complete the project. So I'm including links for everything. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram where I do monthly giveaways, and also like my page on Facebook. And all my social media is Blingee Thingee. Thank you guys so much for watching.